Hi, my name's Angel and this is Angelic Arts. Today is yet another special collaboration video. This time it's women supporting women, and I'll get on to that in a bit. But first, let's jump straight into the first DIY, which is inspired by a female YouTuber, an anchor sign. And I chose At Home with Rebecca Jayne because she made this gorgeous sign in her recent mystery box challenge video. And I just absolutely fell in love with it and wanted to do my own version. So here's the things that I use for it. An A4 frame, some scrapbook paper, a printed out picture of an anchor that I liked. And then I realised that my 12 by 12 paper wouldn't fit into my paper trimmer. So I decided to take an inch off the side there. So I did it very simply, grabbed my knife, my ruler. Once I'd measured the inch, cut it down. And then it was ready to go, and then I sliced along each slice line on the paper. Take the back off the frame, keep that insert for later, and then start to do a rough layout for how I want to do the pattern. And I want to create like a brickwork pattern, but with wood planks. And I decided that the thinner grey strips would go half and half. And then I would alternate between the brown and the turquoise, doing small bits. So I folded so I had a consistent line along. Used double-sided tape to stick stuff on. Then decided to lay it out actually and see how it would look. Just because I got confused almost immediately with whether I was doing brown or turquoise and which was going where. So I'm going to peel off this tape, stick it on to the fold line, lining it up with the top of the sheet, and then I've done it all the way along. Just trimmed off the edges of the paper where it had gone over. I used my craft knife at first and the edge of the backing board of the picture as a guide, but in the end I decided that actually it was going to be framed, so it was just easier to do it with my scissors and just snip along the line. After all, you know, again, this is supposed to be quite rustic and shabby chic, so if the lines aren't perfectly straight, it just adds to the effect. And next, I decided to attach the paper to the board so that it would be sturdier, and I used my same double-sided tape. And I do this by peeling back a tiny bit of the corners on both sides, then lining up my paper. I've put this down to normal speed because it's actually really quick, and when I was sped up you couldn't even see what I did. So I got my paper, decided which way round I liked it the best, lined up the corners at the bottom of the frame or the backing board, laid it down, made sure it was well stuck. Then those little tabs that I had pulled out just go zip, and it's stuck. And I love it because it means the paper can't slip, you can't get things wrong, and it's so satisfying. You just pull it out and it all just slides out, and then your thing's stuck. Now, first I wanted to write this saying with the white chalk marker, but the brown wasn't light enough, so I had to use black. Now, my sister's husband is in the Navy, and while we are English, our flag is still red, white and blue. So I wanted to do red, white and blue, but instead I've ended up with red, blue and black. But it still gets the same thing. So the expression that I went for is home is where we drop anchor, rather than home is where the anchor drops, which is what was in the original inspiration piece. And I decided to freehand for whatever reason. I tried to do different styles of writing. Then I fussy cut out the anchor, which took a lot longer than I thought it would. Played around with it to decide on its placement. Mod Podged it onto the place where I wanted it. And then went over the whole picture with a good coat of this glossy Mod Podge as well. I might actually have to invest in some more Mod Podge try the different types, because at the moment I've only got this glossy one, and I had no idea how much I was actually going to love this. Not affiliated, not sponsored, just really love it. So then it was dry, and I popped it in the frame, and then I was really excited. I was so happy with how this turned out. I took a photo to send to my sister, because this is going to be a gift for her, and I was so happy. But then this happened. There was a jackening, which is to say that my 13-year-old Jack accidentally sat on it. So I had to come up with another plan. I actually almost cried over this. I was just like, genuinely, I was convinced it was all ruined, and then inspiration struck. So I'm just taking all the bits of glass out, brushing off the picture and the frame to make sure there's no things. And I think it was meant to be, because those things on the back there, they just popped off with like the slightest bit of pressure. So I took some tumbling tower blocks. I stained them with the wax, the autumn leaf wax that I've been using in my last couple of DIY videos. Then I put these tiny little jewellery making eye screws into the wood, and I'd put one on each of the pieces of wood, so that if the glue wasn't strong enough holding them together, it wouldn't just drop off. At least I hope it wouldn't. Took some invisible beading wire, threaded it through the tiny holes. I genuinely couldn't find anything else that was small enough to fit through those gaps. Tied it off in a knot. I was kind of hoping it was more visible than this, but I promise you I'm not just waving my hands around. I'm just trimming it off. I take some more of my double-sided tape and stick it to the wood, trim it off, and then this is where I make another mistake. I grab my hot glue gun, dot it all the way along nicely, really careful to make sure it's only small dots so that it doesn't ooze out over the edge, and then realise that I hadn't peeled off the backing, and yeah, so not only did I just burn my finger then, by the time I'd got the backing off, the glue had set. So I'm just sort of melting it, squeezing a little more on, squishing it on, attaching it. Now obviously I have to be quite careful because the glue's still a little wet. And the first one of the hosts today is Freckled Mum. Now, I've spoken about Freckled Mum before on this channel. Absolutely love Devin. She has been so caring and supportive and wonderful through my YouTube starting baby steps. And with that, on to the next one. Now, this is a chalkboard. I decided that because I'd made that sign for my sister, I was going to make gifts for the other influential women in my life. So that's my Auntie Julie, who is not a fussy, frilly bows and ribbons type of person. So I decided to make something really simple for her that she could just pop in her kitchen or in her workspace or whatever. And it's basically just a notice board. It was a bit bigger. It was broken. My son was going to throw it away. So I trimmed it down to where it wasn't broken. We'd lost one part of the frame. So I cut down what was remaining of the frame and glued it together. Yes, I know I used hot glue, but it did actually work really well. Slid the frame into position, then decided to stick some blocks on the back so that it could stand up. I was originally going to hang it, but I wasn't happy with how sturdy the frame was, so I stuck a couple of blocks on the back so that it could hang. It kept popping out on the side there. Then I took this stencil, my chalk marker, and it's actually an asterisk, but I just thought it was a cute little embellishment. Did them in opposite corners of the chalkboard. And then, because I can't resist doing a little bit of embellishment, I took 2 sprigs of this fake lavender and a little PVC garden stake butterfly. And it made a kind of little swag for it, just so that there was something a bit prettier. And just because I thought the frame was quite plain otherwise. So literally just glued the two sprigs together end to end. reinforced where they were joined together with a little bit more hot glue, stuck it to the frame, burnt my thumb, used my bone folder to stick it on, tied a bow in this pretty sheer ribbon. It's the same as the ribbon I used on my hair tie thing. Luckily, my auntie's favourite colour is also purple. Then stuck this little butterfly through. Yeah, frames broke again, so reinforced. This was not the same place it was broken before. This was a new bit. Cut off the edge of the butterfly, reinforced it with lots more glue, put the edge that kept slipping out onto it, and there we go. Then I decided to stick on the bow as well, just reinforcing, sticking on the bow on the hot glue, using that so I didn't burn my fingers. And that's that one done. So now we talk about Connie at Connie's Nails and Creations. Connie has been another absolutely wonderfully supportive, caring, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful creator in my beginning journey. And now onto the blooming can. Now, originally, I was actually going to show you how to make this gorgeous, massively over-the-top basket, but I lost the footage. So this is the backup plan, and this is going to be for the third most influential and powerful, wonderful woman in my life, my mum. And again, using that same autumn leaf wax that I've got and a stiff sponge. This is basically, I Mod Podged with it and forgot to wash it immediately afterwards. I'm distressing and dirtying up the watering can. The watering can I actually got from the local supermarket. It's a kid's watering can, but it is made out of tin or some sort of metal. So I popped some polystyrene in the bottom, and I threw in this tinsel from a wreath form that I'd got at Christmas time and taken the tinsel off of, so that I didn't have to put as much polystyrene in. So it just, kind of came up halfway. Then I started filling it up with greenery. Then had to take apart a eucalyptus wreath that I had made. I was just checking the yellow meant there. So I had this eucalyptus wreath. So I'm just pulling off the branches, the sprigs or the picks or whatever you want to call them. And just really filling up the watering can with the greenery. And then I start playing with the yellows, and I'm putting in these sunflowers. And then I've got these other little yellow plasticky flowers that honestly on the bunch I thought looked really fake and cheap and horrible, but once I'd separated them out into their little sprigs, they actually looked much prettier, and I thought they worked really well in this arrangement. So it's basically just a lot of putting flowers in, taking flowers out, turning it around, then putting in these little sparkly curly things that were from a Christmas pick. Yeah, checking that it was still not quite right, need something else. So I had these silk peonies that adjust the heads. So I cut off a stem from another eucalyptus sprig, or two in fact, and popped these in the arrangement where I liked it. I just liked the yellow, and yellow is one of my mum's favourite summer colours. Then I had this silver and blue gingham ribbon that I literally just tied around. I actually took that off of another wreath that I'd made. Let me know in the comments if you'd actually like to see me make any of these wreaths, or any of the wreaths that I have made. Then I took these little butterflies from the same set as the ones that I used for my aunt. I put them in, I took them out, I rearranged them, I played with them till I was happy with where they were. Then I took the little curlies back out and put them back in and rearranged them until I was finally happy with it. So now, here is the reveal of how they all look together. All completed. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, all those wonderful things, because do you know what? I really am loving doing all of this and interacting with everyone. So thank you to all the wonderful ladies in this group and all of you.